Said a mouse built a nest as air filter that wasn't getting
We're good.
air.
Oh no.
We're live.
Okay, so good morning, everybody.
Wait,
Okay.
give it a minute. All the connections have to go through the interspace web. And action.
Okay, so good morning, everybody. We're going to do a little class today. It's more about just sort of educating you. You can obviously take notes on it, but this is about an interior design movement. We see a lot of this furniture in our auctions, furniture and other pieces, and a lot of times we just kind of give it a blanket assignation as Victorian. And there are a few different subcategories within the Victorian category. And I feel like it might help a little bit if we knew specific names to give to pieces and the movements that they come from. So today we're going to talk about one of my favorites is the aesthetic movement, art for art's sake. The aesthetic movement was from about 1851 to 1899, and it was a decorative style of interior design that developed as a reaction against the mass production of goods in the Victorian period. It was the decorative motifs that heavily relied on Asian and Middle Eastern influences. It often had cranes, lilies, sunflowers, storks, and bamboo. And this decorating style was perpetuated by all fashionable interior designers through the 1880s. And proponents of this style felt that the design and manufacture of furniture, ceramics, metalwork, and textiles should rise for the sake of beauty in everyday life. So some aesthetic movement influences. Following the Great Exposition of 1851, young artists began to denounce Victorian designs as vulgar and ostentatious. Followers of the aesthetic movement reacted against industrialism and advocated for objects that emphasize beauty over social or political themes. They blurred the line between craft, fine art, and decorative arts to bring beauty to everyday life and particularly to the home, which they viewed as a canvas for artistic expression and a sanctuary from the blandness of industrial life. By the mid-1880s, all manner of goods, to include ceramics, table services were available in the aesthetic taste. Heavy influence from the Japanese culture was further encouraged by the newly burgeoning relationship that Japan was building with Western cultures, having just opened their ports to trade in the 1850s. Westerners were fascinated by this newly discovered culture, its arts, uncorrupted by the modernization of the world. Aesthetic movement design elements. The flat planes, stylized designs, and nature-inspired motifs of the Anglo-Japanese style included storks and owls carved in the backs of chairs, beetles and spiders crawling up the handles of silverware, dragonflies lighting on silver teapots by Tiffany and Gorham, and cherry blossoms in stained glass. The style worked especially well in homes designed in the modern Gothic stick style, what we know as Eastlake, vernacular medievalism, Queen Anne, shingle style, late Victorian Tudor, and Jacobean. The aesthetic movement morphed into arts and crafts in England and the Art Nouveau on the continent, and in America, the craze faded away by 1890. And that last decade of the 19th century saw a nostalgic turn back towards Rococo, cabbage, rose, and mauve. So some of the hallmarks of aesthetic movement design include stylized abstracted ornament that was preferred in carving, on walls and for textiles, flat ornament for flat surfaces. The shaded, realistic depictions of fauna and flora seen in the mid-Victorian period were out of fashion. Motifs in the Anglo-Japanese style were popular 1875 to 1885. Cranes, swallows, bamboo, and cherry blossoms. Motifs and palettes were based too on medieval and Gothic designs. An alternate name for aesthetic in Eastlake is Reformed or Modern Gothic. Wall treatments embrace the tripartite division of dado, fill, and frieze. The fill was kept simple, that's the central part of the wall, and even done in one color in the Japanese fashion to set off framed prints hung from the picture rail. Tertiary colors such as olive and sage, ochre, terracotta, and russet peacock blue were favored. A palette influenced by William Morris' revival of medieval formulas and by the subdued but clear tones of Japanese woodblock prints. Exotic tastes. An exotic revival was a sub-theme peaking around 1880 with the American fascination for arabesque ornament. Moorish tiles, Persian furniture, and Turkish smoking rooms were all the rage. And here's some examples for you guys of some different categories. So we've got furniture and decor. So just so you can kind of get an idea, if you see any of these elements out, there's a lot of the Asian elements and some of the medieval elements, especially in this chair here. And with the central buffet, we've got a lot of the Asian elements and the floral, the way that these flowers are on the front panels is very Japanese woodblock print. And here's some more beautiful examples. And then we have aesthetic movement in print. So this interior design movement went across all mediums. He was a kid to recall that.
No.
And then aesthetic movement wallpapers were particularly beautiful. And you can see in the upper left corner, this is what a room would have looked like. It's very busy by our standards, but they loved that excessive ornamentation. And then aesthetic movement majolica, we actually had a collection of this come into the gallery. So some of these pieces these are actually ones that we did here in-house. And then these are my resources for you guys.
Go back to that last slide just for a second. So tell us the group in here, the captive audience,
Sure.
for us, what does this mean? So what? Like, it's super cool that you're giving us this, but like, are you telling us this is the hottest thing going right now and they need to be watching out for these vibrant colors and because right now it's at its peak in the market?
I don't know if it's necessarily at its peak in the market, but I am showing you this so that you can see these particular design elements, and then you can hopefully put this assignation on here because the aesthetic movement, I don't know that it's necessarily more desirable than just putting Victorian, but you're definitely going to find a more niche market for those people that are looking for these specific pieces.
Aha. Okay. So one of the things that we noticed, you can leave it rolling. One of the things that we noticed, we had, how many options we closed this weekend? 4?
Yeah.
4, I think. And then there's an additional 8 online right now, 10-ish. But we went through and looked. So there's certain identifying words that you guys can continue to improve on. And I'm going to use jewelry, for example, because that's an easy one. Pink stone, white stone, purple stone, right now, that's what you're looking at. Those are, if I'm a jewelry buyer, and I'm not, but if I am, generally speaking, I want to know if it's amethyst, if it's ruby, if it's lab created, or is it natural. Pink doesn't tell me a whole lot. Actually, what pink tells me is it's probably just a pink piece of glass. You know what I'm saying? Like so it really is probably not worth a whole lot from a buyer's perspective because it just says pink stone. It doesn't tell me that it could be ruby, but you just don't know what it is. Like it doesn't, that's not what my brain said. My brain as a buyer doesn't go there. My brain as a buyer just says, pink stone, probably piece of pink glass. Other things, Danny or Will or somebody, popular furniture brands right now. Virginia House, Pennsylvania House. Give me some more. Drexel, some more.
What's that one? Just
Henry Don. What else? Give me some more. Baker. What else? Give me some others.
Vintage Ashley.
Okay, vintage Ashley.
We come across Thomasville a lot.
What?
Bassett.
Lane and Bassett. Okay.
Mershman.
Mershman. Stickley. Oof. So do you guys know kind of where this is layered in terms of furniture manufacturing branding? Let me give you an idea. And I know we're veering from this, but I think it's a worthy conversation. So let me give you an example that everybody can probably understand. Ford, Chevrolet, GMC. I think we all can say that they're probably pretty well on the same playing field. Now, does Chevrolet have the Corvette? Yes. Does Ford have the GT? Yes. The Ford GT. So they have some super high-end cars within that brand, but on average, they're Ashley. They're, what was some of the other ones you said? Lane, Roy Hill,
Bassett.
Bassett. There's your Ford, GMC, and Chevy stuff in the furniture land. All right, so give me a car model, a brand that's kind of one you'd consider maybe one tier up from Ford, GMC, Chevrolet. Who would y'all consider?
Land Rover.
BMW.
Okay, all right. So I don't know if that's one level up. I'm thinking like Volkswagen. I'm thinking like just one level up, not way up here yet. It's not luxury brand because I think y'all.
Maybe Toyota Infinity.
Okay, there you go. Infinity.
Acura.
Acura, maybe. Yeah, maybe you're possibly one level up. So now give me one level up of furniture brands.
Henry Don. Oh,
Ethan Allen.
I'm going to go with Stickley's is luxury.
top end.
Ethan Allen, Thomasville.
Okay, Ethan Allen, Thomasville. I like that.
Across Thomasville a lot.
What else? You see how important this exercise is?
Henry Don.
Henry Don. There we go. Right. And Henry Don is a balance almost between, because depending on who it is, like you go over and ask June, she loves Henry Don.
It's like upper middle class.
Yeah, she's going to throw that in the Jaguar brand. You know what I mean? But now most people it's not necessary. Now, one level up from Volkswagen. What we got next in the car business?
We got Audi.
I think we could probably go ahead and go Audi, BMW, Mercedes. Kind of, we're getting close now, right? We're definitely not in the Lamborghini Ferrari stage yet, because Lamborghini Ferrari, I'm throwing Stickley and Baker in there, pretty close, right? You guys have to know this. Like, you got to understand when you see a piece of Stickley furniture, I've got a Ferrari F350 or F50, whatever they are, Testarossa, right? Baker, same thing. Big time money. Go to, who carries Baker in Knoxville? 100% not brown squirrel, but give me somebody. No, what's that?
O.P. Jenkins.
Huh?
O.P.
O.P. Jenkins carries it. Yes. Go to O.P. Jenkins, look at a dining room set made by Baker. I mean, it's $25,000 is nothing.
For the freshmen here, are they marked most of the time, like Stickley?
That's a great question. Danny, would you say on average most of the time they're marked?
Yes, most of them we're talking about. Now, Stickley, the older Stickley probably is not going to be marked.
Yeah.
You know, there were three Stickley brothers,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of.
Thanks for watching
The
online,
older
guys.
Stickley probably won't be marked, but you know you can kind of